the fact that apart from Manchester City, every other big game they lost.
Yeah.
So they lost to Arsenal, admittedly away. They lost to Atletico Madrid at home.
Yeah.
And they lost to Bayern Munich away. 2 hard away games there. City was the one, and City were in abominable form at this point in time as well, by the way. It's not the City that, I don't know whether they're still in abominable form, but you know, they were in much worse form than they have been over the last couple of weeks and stuff. So that I think's interesting. The fact they got 13 points out of 8 games gives me a little bit of confidence. Now, a lot of people will tell you that they're doing better without the Galacticos and all that type of stuff. Obviously, they signed Kvaratskhelia recently, so it's now Kvaratskhelia and Dembele and Barcola up front, which is looking like a tasty front three.
Yes.
They are a good side, but I fancy us against PSG. And what I don't like about it, and if you can sort of answer both of this at one, I think there's a talking point, first of all, before we talk about the team PSG, to talk about going back to Paris.
Yes. Yeah, that was something I was thinking about. For a more pleasant reason, is that Lisbon is what is probably my favourite European city. So I thought, you know, that's a brilliant away if you go there. Going back to Paris, you know, hopefully, given the scrutiny last time and the climb downs and all of that, you'd like to think that the policing would be better. But there's been stuff year upon year upon year of not just Liverpool, but generally English teams, because they still think... I mean, this was part of the thing, actually, in the investigation into the Paris stuff. They were using stuff of, like, you know, stuff from the 80s and like, dossiers of these fans do this and these fans do this, and they were like 30 years out of date. And, you know, you think, like, Liverpool have been away in Europe probably more than any other team in England. With the odd, you know, there was like the odd, someone got pushed into a fountain, or was it like there's the odd little thing you see on social media, but generally, you know, so it will be. I think a lot of fans who were there won't want to go back. You know, won't want to be. I would be very surprised to see similar scenes, tear gas, crushing, you know, all of that sort of thing. But there will be people who won't want to go back because of that horrible experience. There was people who were Hillsborough survivors who were had horrible flashbacks and triggers and all that. So yeah, it's not, in terms of a classic Liverpool away, you want it to just be great vibes and, like, you know, scarves in the air. We're having a great time in a European city. We're in a town square. We're in a cafe. We're having a bevy. We're having a lovely time. It doesn't give you that vibe, does it, going back to Paris? No, unfortunately.
No, it doesn't. And they are a good side, and, you know, we've got to talk about that now as well. Obviously, you know, the fact that they're unbeaten in their league campaign so far tells you as much about PSG as it does about the French league in general, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But, you know, in Barcola, for me, I think he's a wonderful footballer.
Yeah, they've certainly seemed to be progressing now. They've moved on from this Galactico stuff. I think the interesting one would be Kvaratskhelia. You know, we were linked with him. I don't know how serious they were, but it could be a bit of a case of, like, look what you missed out on, Richard Hughes. You know, you said you were going to be opportunistic, and the opportunity came to sign potentially a world-class forward, and you didn't take it, and here's what you've missed out on. So yeah, it's a tough proposition. They've got, you know, I like Marquinhos as well. I think he's been through when they were having some of those weird performances where they're going out and you're like, well, he's good on paper, he's good on paper, he's good on paper, he's good on paper. Marquinhos, I think, was always one who stood up even when others around him didn't. Donnarumma, the very big man in goal. You know, it's a good team, isn't it? There's Zaire Emery, which we've been linked with. I don't know why PSG would potentially let go an 18-year-old French international who they think is going to be the future of their side. But, you know, be interesting to get a closer look at him if he's somebody that we're apparently interested in. So yeah, it's. I think they had to do something different because
it didn't work.
Yeah, basically they were bought out a similar time to City, and you look at the success City have had. They went down this slightly different route. They've wasted loads of money over the years on various players that haven't quite worked. So I think this is a more I was going to say sustainable project, but I don't, with that sort of Qatari money, I don't think sustainable projects are necessarily what they've got in mind. But it looks like a more forward-thinking, a more sensible approach from them, basically, yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, well, sorry, I just opened the Discord to look at the live show chat as well, and I found this wonderful picture of me and fake Ranieri in the Discord, which I thought was quite funny. Thanks for using a picture of me with hair from a long time ago, clearly. He also followed it up with Pejak Stradamus for predicting the draw. Aaron also predicted the draw earlier than I did. He had them set up like that. We put it on Twitter, believe it or not, before the draw started, Spooky. Which is a bit strange as well. So I think going back to it, PSG, Anfield, second leg. I think we both fancy that Liverpool can get the job done, especially with the Southampton game. Problem therefore there comes around is that you're leading into the Carabao Cup final, but it's 5 days minimum.
Yes,
6 days is a good one. Then you've got a derby. Liverpool versus Everton at Anfield. Then you go away to Fulham and a potential Champions League quarter-final next against either Club Brugge or Aston Villa, where we know we're home in the first leg.
Yeah.
Now, talk to me about the Club Brugge Aston Villa one, because for me, I think if there's one where you had to be home first leg, this is the one.
Yeah, in terms of that way round, I think that's... Yeah, of all of the potential ties, that's the one that you'd want to be home first. I would like to think if we beat PSG, we can beat either of those sides, with no disrespect to either of them. Bruges surprised me, actually, because another reason for not wanting to be in this side of the draw was I just didn't fancy another 2 legs against Atalanta, but Bruges have sorted that out for us. It could be the Simon Mignolet derby, potentially.
Yeah. Okay, it's a thing.
It's certainly a thing. Villa. I mean, Villa. You just got the results up from earlier there. Villa lost to them in the group stage after a farcical penalty where the keeper took the goal kick to Mings and he picked it up and re-spotted it, but actually it was already in play, so they gave a penalty. So, maybe that wasn't necessarily indicative of how good they. I mean, I was surprised they knocked Atalanta out, I have to say. Maybe they're a little bit of a potential surprise team of this tournament, but yeah, as I said earlier, Villa, they've got good players, but I just think we are clearly a level above them, and generally, the more times you play, the more variations of something, the class will always come out on top. So over 2 legs against Villa, I would expect us to beat them. So I would, if we can get past PSG, I would make us favourites to get to the semi-finals, definitely. And in terms of the fixtures, not too bad. Yeah, West Ham, Leicester away in there. Mm-hmm. So it's the semi-finals where the fixtures get really tasty.
Well, that's it. Well, let's look at the bracket a second first, because obviously you got Real Madrid beat Manchester City, which puts them Real Madrid at home first leg, Atletico Madrid at home for the second leg, PSV Arsenal. Now, I think on paper you would say that Real Madrid are favourites to come out against Atletico Madrid. PSV, not the favourites, very much not the favourites against Arsenal. 4. But PSV, knocked Juventus out. They've had some good results so far, not least a draw with Paris Saint-Germain in the group stages. That would put Real Madrid or Atletico at home second leg in the quarters versus Arsenal, which would lead to probably a Real Madrid-Arsenal quarter-final. And let's say that Real Madrid or Arsenal make it to the semi-final. They are at home first leg and we're at home second leg.
Yeah.
So probably Real Madrid or Arsenal at home second leg in the Champions League semi-final. Now the fixtures around that.
I was going to say, get those fixtures up. Yeah.
Yeah. We played Tottenham before it. I must have pressed my X key and taken the date out of there. So apologies, everybody. Champions League semi-final away after Tottenham. Chelsea at home. Champions League semi-final at home against potentially Arsenal.
Yeah.
Before playing Arsenal in the league at home.
Yeah.
It could go Tottenham, Arsenal, Chelsea, Arsenal, Arsenal.
Yeah.
Or it could go Tottenham, Madrid, Chelsea, Madrid, Arsenal. Heavy.
Yeah, it's no barrel of laughs whatever way you swing it, really, is it? So I don't fancy going to Atletico. I just think it's a sapping ground. It's a, you know, we all know how Simeone plays, and fair play to him, he is the master of it. Real Madrid, we felt like we owed them one after the last few fixtures. We did owe them one. We beat them. They're still
side now, though.
Yeah, they look to be better now.
Mbappe's fully integrated.
Yeah, you don't really want that, do you? But I mean, look, again, if you're going to win the thing, you've got to beat the best teams. And that Arsenal, Chelsea, Arsenal, I don't think I can see that much Mikel Arteta in the space of 4 weeks. I think that'll do me head in. So I think I'm not massively looking forward to whoever we get in the semi-finals, I have to say, if we get to the semi-finals.
It is difficult. Let's frame it from we're going to try and win the Premier League point of view. Is it better to play Real Madrid or Arsenal ahead of the Arsenal game on the 10th of May?
I feel like Arsenal, because I think if let's say there's 3 points in it or something and we draw Arsenal and then we beat them like 3-0 in one of the legs or something, then I think going into that league game, there's then maybe that little bit of like bringing them down to earth, or like, oh, we can't do this. You're like, these are better than, you know, I don't know.
It's interesting because it always feels like, for me anyway, playing a team twice in a week, for the most part, now I know this Brighton goes against that this season, but for the most part, it always seems to be that the honours get shared in some way.
Yeah.
But Brighton this season, we beat them in the cup, didn't we? And we beat them in the league, which is very unusual, I felt. I don't know whether there's any stats out there around that, actually, but it always feels like it's just shared. Like, you win that one and we'll win this one. And I would listen, from a personal point of view, I would like to take both off them in the same week.
Yes.
That appeals a lot to me.
Yeah, maybe I can get over my aversion to having to see Mikel Arteta 3 times in the space of a couple of weeks for the price of doing that. Yeah, that will be a real carrot. Actually, I mean, could you imagine the fume if we knocked them out in Europe and then beat them in the league?
Oh, it'd be glorious.
You know what? You've sold that to me now, actually, Chris. Yeah, I think so. So I that's my preferred semi-final then. If we get to the semi-final, I'm just adding that caveat every time in case people are like, you arrogant. So, you just get to the semis, will you? Or there are other people who are like, you know, I've got mates who are that superstitious where if you go, I reckon we'll beat Southampton at home, you know, Chris, you'll be like, oh, you said it now.
I know, I hate that.
Oh, like, yeah, are Southampton gonna batter us now because I've said something?
It doesn't make a blind bit of difference.
It doesn't make a blind bit of difference. Anyway.